The no name on front Frank Thomas era out of 1990 tops have sold on eBay in recent weeks for over $5,000. Is it in this box that we found in the wild, or are we just going to be left with 36 pieces of stale bubble gum? We're going to rip into it right now and we're going to find out. So what's going on, guys? We got a box of 1990 tops. This is a popular rip. People on YouTube will show clips of this all the time because that no name on front is so iconic. So we got a Ricky box topper. That's pretty cool. The no name on front is the most iconic printing variation in modern wax history. And these packs may have it. This was a box that I bought in a collection, so it's hard to say exactly what I paid for because I bundled it with a bunch of other stuff. And it's time will tell if we get any cards from that sheet, that one big printing sheet that was messed up, that included Frank Thomas, where it excluded the black ink from his card. I forget what other cards are on it, on that sheet, but if we see a partial blacklist, as they're called, you'll see a lot of the black lettering, the lines, the lettering will be missing. That'd be a dead giveaway. If there's any of those cards in this box, that means it's from a case that has the no name, and that would be colossal. I've seen them sold, so Mike Scott. I don't see any black missing on that one. I've seen them sold on eBay. I've seen them sold at shows. I've never seen one pulled from a pack. So it's anybody's guess. Is it a wax box? Is it in rack packs? Were they from a certain region in the country? Is it Bobby Bow? Nobody's really sure. There's rumors, but until we see it pulled in the wild, we can't be sure. And until then, we're going to keep ripping and tearing through it all. Costello, Will Clark, Sandy Alomar, Stan Belinda, Chuck Carey, Neon Dion, Primetime Sanders in the rookie. I think he has an 89 traded, but still it's a nice card. Dick Schofield, Rhino, Greg Olson, Gerald Perry, Denny Martinez. Dennis Martinez, good pitcher. His brother Ramon Martinez. Bubblegum is all crumbly and dried out and probably disease ridden. Brian Downing. If the man I bought this collection off of was anything like me, his father told him, "Hey man, keep this box sealed. One day it might be valuable." They were wrong. But because of the appeal of the no-name, the secondary market of these boxes is pretty high. You can find these for about $50 on eBay. And other than the errors, you can still pull the Ken Griffey Jr. second-year card. And the Frank Thomas rookie is still a nice card with the name on the front. Clutter Buck. Sure, all they redid this design in 2025 tops with all the inserts, so you get to see Shohei Ohtani on the 1990 design. You get to see Aaron Judge, all the players of today, which is pretty cool. And Barlow Giamatti, commissioner card. The other 1990 card, other than the no name on front, that is incredibly rare and incredibly valuable. Bernie Williams rookie, Burt Blyleven. Is that yeah, he is a Hall of Famer. Would be the George H.W. Bush card with his Yale uniform. There's a card of the first George Bush president when he, in his playing days. It's in black and white. I believe there's 100 copies of it. They were not inserted into these packs, so we have no chance of finding them. They were handed out at the White House as gifts. So they exist. You could find them. but you're going to pay up for those. Don Slaught, Pete O'Brien, Dennis Lamp, Molly Johnson, Mark Grace, Greg Brock, Bryn Smith. That's a girl's name, ain't it? Bryn. Saw Thomas, I got excited. Sticky gum. How is dry gum sticky? Billy Frazier, Tom Gordon, Gold Cup, Kurt Schilling. There's a Frank Thomas. Should have slow rolled that one. There's a Frank Thomas with the full name on the bottom. So still a nice hit. Still a Frank Thomas rookie. We'll take it. And we know going forward in this box, almost certainly not going to see the no name because that one has a name, crying out loud. And you would think that everything would come off the same printing sheet. So if one has it, they all have it. And if none of them have it, well, none of them have it. But we got a Frank Thomas, a little bit off-centered. Julio Franco, Tommy Gregg, Hojo, David Wells, Jeff Rid, Matt Noakes, Roberto Kelly, Bobby Witt Sr., Mike Heath. But that is the general knowledge. If any card came from that sheet, exists in a box, it would exhibit the blacklist error. Then you know you have a hot box. And that's where you're going to pull the no name from. Nolan Ryan, insert. Larry Walker, rookie. If you find the regular card, like that Frank Thomas with the name, you can be pretty certain that you have a normal production sheet and no error. That Frank Thomas is still valuable in high grade. I think they're right around $200 in a 10. Tim Tuffle. But with these color boards, there's a Biggio. Biggio is part of that set. The blacklist. So you can see a black border still present all the way around, to be missing like in the corners here. So black border straight around. There's not missing any black ink. We've got a regular old box. Barry Larkin, Rick Roden, Henry, Willie Randolph, Lenny Dykstra. Looks skinny there, doesn't he? Looks real good. And Dykstra. Can we pull a Griffey? Now that we know we're not going to get an error for thousands, a unicorn, if you will, can we just go back to basics and find the chase cards? Ken Griffey Jr., Wade Boggs. Ken Griffey Jr. with the bloody elbow. People have tried to pawn that off as rare or as an error itself, but in fact, it's just the way it looks. It's a printing defect, like most of these 1990 cards have. Doesn't make them rare, doesn't make them unique. Yes, me, it's upsetting. You can get a PSA 10 of a card from the 1990 set, and it could be covered in print defects. For whatever reason, PSA doesn't consider print defects a downgrade on 1990 tops. They dock you for print lines on modern products, so I don't see the difference, but buy the card, not the grade. I've seen some ugly PSA 10s, which is a little disconcerting, but what that tells me is send stuff in the PSA, it's a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get. Fred Manrique, Greg Harris, Jack Clark, Record Breakers, Vince Coleman, Terry Francona, the manager, Ronald Baroa, Blouser Hatcher. It would have to be awfully special to pull something out of here that would qualify to send to PSA. Because centering, like I said, print defects, these are actually pretty sharp. These were well kept. The guy I bought them off of, he probably kept it in his closet from the time he was 9 years old. Took good care of him. Was he probably thought it was going to be a good investment. You know, I know what my father told me. He said there's 52 mental cards worth thousands of dollars. Who's to say that Roger Clemens won't be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars one day? Or Doc Gooden? Or Darryl Strawberry? Willie McGee? What we didn't know was that they were going to produce these cards so heavily, and there would never be a shortage. There would never be scarcity. Topps never produced their figures about how many they actually produced, so we're not sure. But the fact that there's still sealed cases out there. There's a Ken Griffey Jr. We got the 1990 Griffey. The bloody elbow and all. There's a Griffey. Yeah, a little top to bottom centering issues. Left to right's not so good either. But we got the two biggest rookies, or two biggest cards out of the set. James Howell, Charlton Lake. In raw condition, the Griffey and the Frank Thomas together, right around together, $6, $7. So if you spent $50 on this box and hit the big chases, you'd still be beat. Being that they're off-centered, they're not candidates for PSA. That's still pretty cool. Still pretty excited to pull them. With the gum. Luckily the gum wasn't stuck to the back of them. Randy Milligan, Marty Burrett, Quisenberry, Cerruti, Hubie Brooks, Shawan Dunston, Pat Combs, Tim Burke, Bob Nepper, Yielding, Dwight Evans, Tom Elliott, Barry Jones. There's a Hall of Famer, Greg Maddux. Gotta make sure I get this gum out of my house so the ants don't come through and go to town. You never know what would happen to an ant if it eats 40-year-old bubblegum. Eric Davis, Chris James, Rob Dibble, Bob Boone, Billy Ripken, and there's your Greg Maddux. Alright, half the box down. What else could we pull? Could pull a Juan Gonzalez rookie out of 1990. I believe Bo Jackson's in this set. A couple more Hall of Famers we haven't seen yet. That was our #1 draft pick, Earl Cunningham. I wonder what happened to him. Dave Winfield, Hall of Famer. Checklist. Will Clark, Dave Stewart, Tom Bernansky, Rick Cerrone, Dan Plesac. So have you guys ever ripped this product? Did you rip it back in 1990? Have you ripped it recently? Chasing the no-names? Do you think it'll ever be found? There's Al Leiter. Jack Leiter's dead. Do you think it'll ever be found in a wax box? Do you think it'll be pulled on YouTube, Paul O'Neill? Or do you think we're all chasing a dream? Either way, I'm in for it. 'Cause you never know. They exist. We've seen them. Bucky Dent, Wally Backman, Jamie Moore, Robin Yount, Dale Murphy. I think Dale Murphy will get in the Hall of Fame one day. All these committees, the Veterans Committee and the Contemporary Committee. Dale Murphy was one of the best hitters of his generation. You know, a good 10 to 15 year stretch. He was the guy. You say the same for Ron Gant, but Dale Murphy was amazing for a long time. It's Frank Robinson, Greg Briley, Gallego. It's kind of like a little blurry. Mike Moore, a little blurry. Double printing. Harold Reynolds, ESPN fame. I once bought a 1990 Topps Nolan Ryan for my PSA registry set run, and it was at a PSA 10. I got the card home in the mail. I looked at it. It was awful. It was a 10 because it had sharp corners and clean edges and nice surface, but the printing, the print quality, it looked like I was tripping. Everything was kind of like double vision, but I still got a 10. So, as I said, buy the card, not the grade. I sold it with the honest disclaimer that, you know, it's a 10, but please take a look at the photos. Make sure you know what you're getting. And I was able to find a cleaner one that is still in my PC. Julio Franco. There's a Sammy Sosa rookie. Did we get them all? Maybe. The only one we're missing is who? We got the Larry Walker, right? Greg Vaughn, Future Stars. Von Hayes. Rob Deere. Benito Santiago. Randy Johnson. Second year. Not a rookie card. Pagliarillo. Randy Johnson has 89 cards. Let me pause for a second. All things considered, King Griffey Sr., all things considered, this is a good box. King Griffey Sr., Dave Martinez, Carlton Fisk, Cal Ripken record breaker. What did he break? 20 home run, 8th straight season. Boggsy, Dan Assay, Benziger, Gary Templeton, remember him? Chuck Finley, Mike Witt, Yera, Tony La Russa, Vinton, and the Hawk. Coming down to the nitty gritty. Gum. Stanley Incaviglia. Here's another Nolan Ryan insert. There was 4. There's a Larry Walker rookie. Down Mike Davis. El Cid. Tony Armas. Bo Jackson. There we go. Not a rookie, but happy to see it. Real quick here. Deion Sanders was not a rookie. For all the Hall of Famers here so far. Larry Walker was a rookie. We got 2 Larry Walker rookies. Sweet. Bernie Williams rookie. Sweet. All right. We got 8 packs left. Tommy Glavine got the gum. Tommy Glavine is free of the gum. Vince Coleman. Lee Mazzilli. Boggs. Steve Carter. Otis Nixon. Gedman. Tommy Glavine. Pete Smith. Davey Johnson. Turtleneck. Dwight Smith. Steve Finley. Andy McGaffigan. And Rick Leach. I think we hit all the possible cards we were looking for. Other than the rookie, other than the errors. Ricky on the record breakers. Love to see a Ricky. Kyle Abbott, #1 draft pick. Terry Leach, Tony Gwynn, All-Star. Ron Kittle, Brady Anderson, Stan Javier, Lance Parrish, Kevin Brown. 6 packs to go. Manager card, Tom Troublehorn, Brew Crew, Gene Larkin, Johnny Bench, turn back the clock, Enrique Rigetti, Greg Harris with the serial killer glasses, Larry Davis, Jack Clark, Steve Frey, Eric Davis, Jack Armstrong, Pat Borders, Dave Anderson, Talver, Steve Jeltz. Billy Hatcher, Jeff Ballard, Jose Canseco. Oh, the guns on that guy. Unbelievable. Jack Doherty, Rich Thompson, Tim Drummond, Tim Helms, Wally Whitehurst, Caminetti, Ramon Martinez, Joey Bell. Fish Rod's a rookie. Sabo, Galarraga, Ricky Jordan. Sandy Koufax. Robin Ventura. I don't remember ever seeing that card. Pagnozzi. Houston. Jeff Hamilton. Frank Pino. Kubica. Sheridan. Frank White. Dutch Dalton. Doyle Alexander. Mike Scott. Another guy with serial killer glasses. Wax and gum residue. Get to my background here. Ron Robinson, Ted Power, Chet Lemon, Mark Davis, Frankie V, Hetzel Stoudemire Jr., Chili Davis, Tom Kelly manager card, Don August, Kevin Gross, Dan Pasqua, Deion James, Gary Sheffield. That's a nice one. Set that aside. Hojo, Jeff Brown. 2 packs left. Gary Sheffield on the gold cup. Definitely a nice one. He has a 1989 Topps card. Julio Machado. Not sure if he's related to Manny Machado. Bucky Dent. John Wetland. There's an incredible amount of second generation major leaguers these days. Candy Maldonado. Kirby Puckett. Paul Molitor. Jay Howell. Felix George Bell. Last pack magic right here. Could it be in here? Could we see a $5,000 card in here? Don't hold your breath. And don't eat the gum, because that's nasty. Alright. Last pack. Darrell Evans. Cal Daniels. Rafael Ramirez. Kurt Young. Portugal. Dennis Cook. Wicklander. Luis Rivera. Greg Swindell, Edgar Martinez, Donnell Nixon, Eric King, Rene Gonzalez, Brian Fisher, Ronaldo Rooms, and Mike Devereaux. Well, that was fun. That was a 1990 Topps rip. And I think we got all the rookies. 89s. Sosa was a rookie. Joey Bell. Bernabe. 2 Larry Walkers. So that's pretty cool. That was a nice rip. 1990 Topps. Thank you guys for watching. This is 845 Sports Cards, New York's Hudson Valley. We try to put out some awesome content for you guys. We try to find some hidden gems. We rip some old wax, some new wax. We try to do some different things, educational sometimes just for fun, sometimes goofy, but always a good time in the hobby. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Later.